to show you guys how to make split pea soup. So in Greek it's also called fava soup. You can make split pea soup with green peas, which is what I have here, or yellow. So today I have green. Usually I make them with green. If I can't find the green split peas, I also get the yellow. It's not a big deal. You could use whichever one. So split pea soup is actually extremely easy. This is actually my mom's recipe. She actually taught me how to make this when I was, I want to say 7 years old. It was one of the first things I learned how to make from my mom. So pretty much you just add a bunch of vegetables to the pot. You let it simmer and boil for about an hour, and then we just blend it, and then that's it. So what I usually do, my mom, what she used to put in her split pea was always potatoes, which is what makes the soup really nice and creamy. Carrots, which will give it a nice sweetness. Celery, and onion. And I just throw in 1 garlic clove for the health benefits. Today I'm actually going to also throw in some leeks. I have some extra leek leaves here in my fridge that I used for a spinach pie that I made. So I have to use them, so I'm just going to throw them in. You don't have to put the leeks, but I've made it before with leeks and it's great. Step you want to do is always wash your vegetables really, really well. So I washed my carrots, my celery, I peeled the onions, the potatoes, and the split pea. What you do with the pea is, I'm not making really a lot, I'm making a small batch, so this is about 1.5 cups of split peas. What you could do is you just want to, when you open the bag, put it on like a flat surface and just go through each pea just to make sure there aren't any like things that don't look like split pea. Sometimes you could find some stuff like that. And then just give it a really good rinse, and then you should be good. So what I do is, you don't have to chop anything finely. All I do is I just cut everything in half. I cut the potatoes in half, cut the carrots in about 3s. Also, when you have celery, make sure you scrub your celery really well, because sometimes celeries can have like little dirt in them. So definitely use a scrubber to scrub all the celery. Onion, I cut also just in half. So this is about a small onion and a medium-sized onion that I'm using. So 2. So I have everything in one bowl and my split pea, and I'm going to go to the pot and we're going to put everything inside. During this step now, we're going to just put everything that we peeled and we're going to put it right in the pot. So I've been boiling some water. Now I have about, I want to say 10 cups of water in here, okay? So these are our peas that we washed. So I'm going to put them in. Then I'm going to take all the vegetables that we cut. I also found some scallions in my fridge, so I cleaned them and I'm throwing them in too. Pretty much anything that's green or even healthy you could throw in here. My aunt was telling me that she puts butternut squash in her split pea soup, or you could put sweet potato. So anything really, any vegetable kind of base, you could just throw in. So right now I just have celery, carrots, potatoes, some leeks, and scallions. So that's what I'm putting in today. But normally speaking, when my mom used to make it, and she used to make it for us, and the way she taught me was potato, carrot, celery, split pea, and then herbs and spices. When I make yellow split pea, I like to do different things. I like to put sweet potato or turmeric, or I like to use like the yellow vegetables and like yellow spices. So now that we put everything in, we're gonna put in our spices. So for the spices, I put a little bit of everything. You could put vegetable base, it'll give a nice like rich flavor. So if you do put vegetable base, put about a tablespoon. Today I'm not going to put it because I want to do like a detox soup, so I really just want strictly vegetables. But it does give a lot of flavor. I usually do put either a vegetable stock or a vegetable base, something to enhance the flavor even more. But like I said, today I'm not going to put it in my soup. So we put the vegetables. Now I'm going to put the spices. So I put some pepper. I would say about less than a teaspoon of pepper. Then I'm going to put some garlic powder. I would say about 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. Then I have some dried basil here. Again, maybe about a fourth of some dried basil. I'm also going to put oregano, about a fourth of a spoon of oregano. I usually just do pinching, but if you want to measure them in fourths, that's fine. I have here also ground paprika, and this is also ground mustard powder. It actually gives a really nice richness. It'll bring out a lot of the flavor in the vegetables. You don't have to put mustard powder. I don't think that many people have mustard powder as a spice. I like to use it a lot in my cooking, but if you don't want to use it, it's totally fine. You don't have to. You'll still have a good end result without the mustard powder. So I have the paprika and the mustard powder. It's about a fourth each. And then I'm also going to put some salt. I have some nice fresh Himalayan salt here. I'm just going to sprinkle because I like to put the salt more at the end of the soup because the salt usually gets cooked out. So I'm just doing like a light sprinkle in the soup just for now. And if you see, I actually didn't put any oil in this soup. You can. I do sometimes, depending on what I'm trying to accomplish. Right now, like I said, I want to do like a full detox type of soup, so I'm not putting any oil. I'm just doing a non-oil base. What I am going to do is after when I do eat the soup and it's ready and in the bowl, I'm going to drizzle extra virgin olive oil on top of the soup. So it'll have all the flavor, and then the benefits of the oil won't be getting cooked out from this inside the soup. It'll just be raw on top, and it's great. So I'll show you how to do that when the soup is done. So the soup has been boiling for about 5 minutes now. Now I'm going to add 3 bay leaves, which I have right here. We're going to add the 3 bay leaves, and then I'm just going to stir everything. So I had it for about 5 minutes boiling, not covered. And now after putting in the bay leaves and stirring everything up, I'm going to lower the heat to a simmer. And I'm going to cover this. And then every couple of 10 minutes, I'm just going to come and check on it and stir it. And I'm going to cook this on the stove covered for about an hour. For some reason, whenever I make split pea soup, I can never ever have it without croutons, especially homemade croutons. So I always have croutons that I make in my house. These are some that I've made in the past, but I'm going to show you how to make them so when you make your soup, you can make them with a nice fresh crouton. So this is a piece of dried bread that is obviously hard and you can't cut into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the oven. I have it preheated already at 400 degrees, and I'm going to put it in there for about 5 minutes. The bread now should be ready. It's been about 5 minutes. Always take a tongue or an oven mitt. So the bread isn't very, very hot. I can touch it hot, but if you want for it to cool off a little, I'll recommend that to do that too. So all you have to do now is just cut the bread. So you just cut like big chunks, about an inch. It smells so good. So I have about 7 1-inch pieces. And then part 2, I throw it in, why not? And then you just cut them in half. And you throw them in a bowl. So for the longer piece, you could do, if you want big piece croutons, then cut them in half. If you want them to be a little smaller, then I would cut them in 3s. So here I have cut them in 3rds. So I'm going to show you how to season them for the breadcrumbs. So the first thing I like to do is I like to put the olive oil. Since this is just only a small little piece of bread, you don't really need that much of seasoning and spices. So you're just going to just lightly coat the top of the bread. I would say about a tablespoon of olive oil. Then over here I have some chopped up fresh garlic. I like to always have this in my fridge. I do, I just take garlic cloves, I put it in a food processor with a little olive oil, and I just mince it, and then I keep it so it's like a quick go-to when you're making like shrimp scampi or any kind of sauce that requires garlic, or soup, I just have it ready to go. So I have about half a teaspoon here. I just plop it in. Here about a tablespoon of fresh parsley. This is fresh cut parsley. I have some pepper, just a fourth of a spoon of pepper. Here I have some fresh dried basil. I would say about a fourth, again, of dried basil. And then here I have this really nice rosemary and garlic. It's a dried blend. If you can't find something like this, it's totally fine. We have the garlic in here already. Or you don't even have to put the rosemary and garlic. You can put just this. I like it. It has like a nice aromatic flavor and smell. So, or even if you have fresh rosemary, that's even better. I don't have fresh rosemary. I have this. So I'm just sprinkling a little bit just for flavor. So now I'm just gonna take my bowl, mix all of it together. Get everything in there. And I'm just gonna put everything on here. It smells so good. And then if you see that there are some pieces that don't really have olive oil, I would just take your little olive oil and just do, again, a light little drizzle on each one. And then we're just gonna pop them in the top shelf of the oven. I have the oven preheated from before at 400 degrees. And we're gonna probably leave it in there for about 15 minutes. Croutons should now be ready, so I'm gonna take them out. It's been about a little over 15 minutes. And they're nice and golden. After I took them out of the oven, I put them in a little bowl, and I'm gonna save them off to the side and save them for my soup. It's been now about 50 minutes that it's been slow cooking on the stove. I'm gonna take a look and see how it's doing. So we just wanna look to see if everything is cooked and if the peas are cooked. And it looks great. You can see that the carrots are falling apart, so that's cooked. The potatoes are all cooked. So this is ready. So I'm gonna turn it off. We're gonna immersion it, and then the soup will be ready. Okay, the soup is now ready. And it's steaming hot. So I let it sit a little longer on the stove, but it's still obviously hot. You can immersion it whenever you want. You can wait for it to get completely cool. I'm just gonna immersion it now to show you. So if you don't have an immersion blender, I recommend letting the soup go down to room temperature. And then if you have a blender for like smoothies, just ladle little by little into the blender and just blend it up that way. But if you have an immersion blender or like an electric mixer or something that can like really blend it up, it'll save you a lot of time. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna blend the soup. I also took out the bay leaves from which we had put in the beginning. After you're done completely blending the soup, make sure you just run through it with a spoon just to make sure you didn't miss any of the big pieces or the big chunks. So for taste, I'm gonna add my extra salt that I'm gonna add now at the end that I didn't add that much in the beginning. So I'm gonna put about a tablespoon of salt. So now that I added the tablespoon of salt, for me, it should be good. So I'm gonna try it. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I can eat this all day. So what you want to do now is eat it. poured myself a bowl, and I'll show you what I do, how I eat it. So I take some of our fresh croutons that we just made, and I put them in the middle, and then I take some of my extra virgin olive oil, and I just lightly drizzle however much you want. And that's it. Our soup is ready.